All right, everybody, welcome back to Leapers Live. We're so thrilled to get him here, and he's in a familiar place because we're in the nursing room here at Cape Coral Technical College, who has been an outstanding host for Leapers Live these 3 weeks here, 4 weeks that we've been out here to this campus. We got the president and CEO of Lee Health, Larry Antonucci. Larry, let's bump you in. Good that you are not a stranger to the show, and I'm so glad to get you here. Welcome to Leapers Live again.
Yeah, it's always great to be here, Lee. Thank you.
Every time you come, there's something major going on.
Yeah.
Not every time, but certainly right now. You know, some years ago, the pandemic was keeping you up, and then we had a hurricane that was keeping you up, and now we're. I would say that Lee Health is in the process of moving on up into a different structure and format that will make our community a better place to live, work, play, and do business. Are you optimistic in what we're going to get to it, but just what's on the horizon?
Sure.
It's a movement up, and why?
Yeah, as you know, Lee, we've been the major provider of healthcare in this community for over 100 years. And more importantly, we've been the safety net provider, taking care of all patients regardless of their ability to pay. So as the healthcare landscape is evolving, we really needed to take a look at our current structure and say, is this the best structure that would allow us to continue that safety net mission and at the same time maintain local control? And so the legislature has given us this opportunity to analyze this and assess this. And that's what we've been doing over the last year.
You mentioned the word safety net. Say some Sesame Street safety net to our viewers and listeners.
Sure.
When you say safety nets in your industry, that means what?
So a safety net organization is one that takes care of everyone regardless of their ability to pay. And I think that's really one of the things that we're very, very proud of. There's about 13 organizations like us in the state of Florida. And we're one of the very proud ones that will take care of everyone.
We hear the term, I'm going to get to some of these formal questions here, nonprofit, government nonprofit, and then there's a private nonprofit, right?
Right.
Right now, as Lee Health exists, it is a government nonprofit. And then you're moving towards your interest is becoming a private nonprofit.
Right.
Let's take them one at a time and let the public understand the difference in the two.
Sure. So Lee Memorial Hospital actually started out as a private not-for-profit, a community-based not-for-profit. It wasn't until the mid-'60s that the government created this governmental district that is now what we're operating under. What we want to do is we want to convert back to that community-focused private not-for-profit. The nuts and bolts of that are that from a patient's perspective, things really aren't going to change. We're going to still be the safety net. We're still going to be a not-for-profit. Every dollar that's generated through our operations is going to be reinvested in the community, just as it has been for over 100 years. So a private not-for-profit, a governmental not-for-profit are different only in the governance. So a governmental non-for-profit, where we are today, we're governed by an elected board. In the future, the board will be what's called self-perpetuating. So they will invite people from the community to serve on the board to govern the organization. So those are the main differences between a private not-for-profit and a governmental. Now, from an operational perspective, what being community-based will do is it'll allow us to do more things and compete more effectively, which is really important. We want to be able to maintain that safety net mission. In order to do that, we're going to have to be able to compete effectively in this new healthcare landscape. So if you look at some of the restrictions that are on us right now, we really can't operate outside of Lee County. And so as a result, we can't be a regional presence. And we know that many of the health systems that are going to be coming to this community will be able to operate regionally. And we want to be able to compete on equal footing with them.
As all this came to the spotlight and I started to follow it, that was one of the illuminating things that came to my attention, that you couldn't operate outside of a certain geographical area. I had no idea.
Right.
What does that mean now? That means that patients couldn't come from out of geographical areas, or that you couldn't open up branches and operations outside of the geographical
Yeah,
area.
it restricted us from operating outside. What was interesting, when we began this analysis, we discovered that 20% of our patients are actually coming to us from out of our county. And so again, conversion will allow us to bring services closer to them so they don't have to have that travel to our system.
the conclusion that you needed to operate as a private. You laid out some of them. You need to operate as a private nonprofit in order to compete and that's the way America is. You need to be able to compete to survive and to continue to be efficient.
Right.
You can't just die on the vine. When did that whole discussion start, and when did Lee help decide we need to go in that direction?
Well, it really started back in 2019 when
Okay.
the state legislature eliminated the certificate of need law. Now, what the certificate of need law said is that in order to build a hospital somewhere, you have to apply to the state and show a need for that service. And over these years, we've been able to demonstrate that the needs of the community have been met by Lee Health. So there was no reason to build another hospital here. Now, in addition to repealing certificate of need, they also added provisions to that repeal saying that you don't even have to take the uninsured if you build a hospital. You don't even have to accept Medicaid. You don't have to take you don't even have to have an emergency department if you don't want. And that opened the door and a vulnerability for us, for someone to come in and really try to, I would use the term, skim off the profitable services, which would really threaten our ability to really supply that safety net mission that we talked about. So we knew we had to do something to compete more effectively. So we began working with the legislature over the past 3 or 4 years to say, hey, let us compete. We're not worried about competition. You want to eliminate certificate of need, that's okay, but let us compete fairly. Don't tie our hands. Don't restrict us in our ability to do partnerships, which are real important in healthcare, and joint ventures, which we are limited as a governmental entity.
Two things. I'm gonna let you take them one at a time. Early on, you mentioned under the government structure, you had a board. I know that people run to be on the board for Lee Health.
Right.
That running for office concept will disappear.
Yeah, that's correct. So the current board members who were elected can continue to serve if they choose. But then as they rotate off of the board, then the board itself will identify talent in the community and invite them into the board to be part of our board.
That could expand opportunity for different viewpoints on your board, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it could create an environment where people don't have to run and go through that political process, because I think there's some really qualified people out there who don't want to be part of that process but would love to serve the community. So yeah, I think it will. I think it'll really open up a lot of possibilities for folks.
Early on, you said that to the patients, they won't really see a difference, materially see a difference. One of the things that seems to be emphasized, even from you and from my readings, is that word safety net. You mentioned it early on. Is that the main thing that you are hearing out there as you're moving around, listening to people, being a part of community discussions? Is that safety net going to be in place? And certainly as Lee Memorial down on 41, which is most of the people out of the African-American community in Dunbar, East Fort Myers, the Hispanic community, they have a great deal of admiration for the close proximity of Lee Memorial. You know what I'm getting at. We can go through that. I don't know if it's decided yet if you're going to close Lee Memorial, you're going to open up another one as well. Kind of tell us about that and how that safety net works in terms of geographical location and people be able to get there.
Yeah, so our safety net mission is the most important thing to us as we look towards conversion. We want to preserve it. We want to preserve our local control. With regard to the Lee Memorial campus, that campus is reaching end of life. We've known that for a few years. So that's why we're going to be, we're planning a brand new state-of-the-art facility over on Challenger and Colonial, just a few miles from there. And we believe it's going to be an incredible addition to this community. With regard to the Cleveland Avenue site where the current Lee Memorial Hospital is, we're working right now with both city planners and the city of Fort Myers to really assess what is it that we will need to put there. Not only from the perspective of medical care, but what other community assets would be great for that area. And so we're going to be working on that over the next year or two. The new hospital on Challenger is not going to open till probably 2027, our Fort Myers campus.
As we sit here in late June, when people see this, it may be a little bit after the time we taped it, but if we sit here in late June, it has already been approved by your board to move forward with becoming a private nonprofit. What's the next step?
So the next step now is to work with the county commission. one of the things we've talked a lot about today is maintaining the safety net mission. So what we want to do is enter into an agreement with the county, committing and pledging that we will provide that same safety net care in perpetuity. So there will be a written mission agreement that says, yes, Lee Health will continue to do those things. And that's going to be our bond and our pledge to the county. So now the county will have to review this over this next 120 days, work with us, and there will have to be a final vote. Both the county commission and the Lee Health Board. And that'll occur sometime in early October, we anticipate.
With that new structure, put you at a disadvantage in the sense of your competition? Will they be functioning under those same types of parameters?
No, they won't. They won't have to. As I said earlier, you can build a hospital now and not take care of the uninsured, not take care of Medicaid patients if you don't want. So no, we're going to be bound by it because that's our mission. We're mission driven.
Right. So that, what you just said, that is by choice.
That's right.
So I want that to come out in terms of the public to understand. You choose that. This is where you find yourself as a part of the community for many years, putting back into the community. You embrace that.
We embrace it. We absolutely do. And it's part of what we are. Right now, we're a community asset. So we belong to the community. When we transfer from that public entity to the private entity, we want to make sure that people understand that that commitment to the safety net mission will not change to the point that we're willing to commit to it in writing.
Mm-hmm. The people may have noticed Lee saying nonprofit. We hear Dr. Antonucci from time to time say not-for-profit. Mm-hmm. Is there a distinction between the two?
No, there isn't. Same thing.
Okay. That's the old banker coming out at me. I just wanted to clear that up for people. You gave a timeline, I think you said 2027?
For the new hospital, yes.
Mm-hmm. What's happening in between there? What are some things that are going to be going on?
Yeah, so
you're going to be getting community input. I think you've already started that process.
Yeah, we've started with a lot of community input. We've begun to move some dirt on the Challenger site, so we're through, in our permitting phase. So we'll be beginning construction, construction.
Congratulations.
And now the planning for the Cleveland Avenue site is really gearing up, right? So we're meeting, as I said, with some city planners, with the city of Fort Myers officials to identify what services are going to be best for that area.
Would you say that because Lee Health, in its grand scheme over the years, and I've had a unique perspective of Lee Health, has embraced the diversity of our community mm-hmm. in all aspects, age, race, income, all of those types of things as a normal way of operating, and even in terms of your staffing right. and people in high position decision-making process, that right there being in place helps in this whole process because that's high on your priority list.
It's part of our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we are. It's what we've always been and what we will continue to be.
Mm-hmm. The public right now, how can they stay abreast of this? Are there meetings coming up? Is there somewhere on a website that they can go?
Yeah, so the best place for the public to learn about this is to go to Lee Health, leehealth.org/looking ahead. And that's our website where everything related to the conversion is on there. Everything we've done has been transparent, all of the documents, all of the reports. We had a 6-month evaluation by an independent third-party organization come in and assess Lee Health as to whether conversion would be beneficial to the community. That's all there. And there's also a place to ask questions. So if you have a question, if you hear something that you're curious about, just put the question in there and we'll answer it.
Now, this whole thing now is moving to the Lee County Commissioners. Mm-hmm. What you, from looking at it and putting it together, the proposal, all of this paperwork, I know it's a lot of paperwork. What do you see as the strengths, two of the strengths, and do you see any weaknesses to the process?
Well, I think the main strengths are what we want to continue to be, and that's the safety net organization for this community, and we want to maintain local control. We don't want to be bought out by some for-profit company in, somewhere out of the state that's controlling what's going on here. We want to maintain that here. So those are the two big advantages in our ability to compete effectively and fund our safety net mission, be able to take care of those patients who can't take care of themselves and who can't pay. From the perspective of what are the challenges, Obviously, anytime you're in a political process, there's always going to be challenges. But I think the business case is so strong for the benefit of the people of this community that the county commission will do the right thing.
Just for us laymen, why does the county commission have the final say in all of this?
Yeah, great question. So that's really determined by the legislature. So the state legislature, when it wrote our initial Enabling Act in 1968, put the county commission in control of the system, and it's the same way it is today. That they have the ability to make decisions regarding this, and so that's part of the process. The process is our Lee Health Board, which is an elected body, the county commission, which is an elected body, can both work together to determine what's in the best interest of the people.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, Lee Health, is it the largest employer in Lee County?
It is, Lee. Yeah, Lee Health is the largest employer within Lee County with about 15,000 employees.
Yeah, amazing. So we're going to keep a close eye on this. Lee Pitts Live will certainly, on our TV show and on our radio show, we'll keep people informed. And I feel comfortable saying good luck with everything. And as long as it works out that is best for our community, as you have enunciated, I think that in the long run, it's going to all be a great situation for everybody.
Well, thank you, Lee. Appreciate it.
Okay, so as the saying goes on this particular show, for those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like the fine people at Lee Health who are doing it. And Miami might have the oranges, but Lee Health has got the
juice.
It's got the juice. We'll see.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello, everybody. This is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show. And if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime. And also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live, and there you go.